Hi, we'll talk today again about my favorite topic, about the north and south node of the moon, or as they know them in Sanskrit, Rahu and Ketu. And these 2 points, they're not exactly planets, they're points. They define the karmic fate of the person. They actually show one of the most interesting thing in the chart. And if you learn how to understand just Rahu and Ketu, it's enough. You can learn so much about the person. You can know their biggest insecurities and their biggest strength in their character. And you can really help your children or your husband or your friends or yourself by knowing the position of Rahu and Ketu and what it means in your horoscope, to know what your big mission, spiritual mission in life is, what will bring you fulfillment, how you can help yourself move forward spiritually in development. And very quickly, what is Rahu and Ketu? In Western astrology, Rahu is depicted like that. In Eastern astrology, and Ketu is depicted like that. And Ketu is the south node of the moon, Rahu is the north node of the moon. And very quickly, what exactly do they represent, for those of you who want to know a bit about the background? The moon and the sun are the consciousness. The moon is the personal consciousness. The individual, how you perceive the world. So it's basically the separate individual with its ego. It's the ego consciousness, separate individual mind of the person. While the sun is the big consciousness, the consciousness of the all, of the Godhead or whatever, of the universe, and the ultimate goal of everyone's life is to merge the individual consciousness with the higher consciousness, with the one consciousness, to become one. And this happens over hundreds and hundreds of reincarnations, where very few people have managed to merge, some yogi or Jesus Christ, or saints, and we're still on that path, but we can help with every life, we can help move further the merging of the lower consciousness, the moon, the individual ego consciousness with the higher consciousness, which is the sun. And Rahu and Ketu, the south and north node, represent the point where the sun's ecliptic crosses the moon's ecliptic, actually where the moon's ecliptic crosses the sun ecliptic. And that's why they indicate the positions of growth in the person, of most spiritual growth, because we want to merge the moon and the sun in our consciousness. The moon rules, the moon and the sun, they rule 2 higher glands and chakras in the mind, in the head. And when the Kundalini rises, the energy of the back spine, you merge those two, you merge the signals from those 2 pineal glands with the lower ones of the body. And this is when higher consciousness is achieved. This is when person achieves clairvoyance or nirvana, or unifies their consciousness. They no longer feel separated. They feel like everything is one. And this is the point of reincarnation. So the south node, Ketu, and the north node, they're where the moon crosses, where the ecliptic of the moon crosses the ecliptic of the sun. So these are like something like that. Let's say, maybe I'm not doing it right. So something like that, And one side would be the north-south is Rahu, the north node of the moon, and the south side is Ketu, the south node of the moon. And Ketu is something which indicates in your horoscope what you have to detach from in order to grow towards this, in helping the spiritual process within yourself, in fulfilling the mission. Ketu is something you have to let go. Rahu is something that is a bit of a chaos in your life because you haven't developed in your past life. It's something you have to embrace and work on and develop, because this is where people stumble the most. Ketu is something you have developed a lot in a past life or in the early part of your life, and you have to let go of, not fully detach, not fully, let go of this thing in your life. For instance, if Ketu is with Venus, it doesn't mean you have to let go of relationships, but you have to detach from the concept of this thing. So I'll explain to you later. So now we're going to check when Rahu and Ketu with a certain planet in your horoscope. We checked already when Rahu or Ketu, the north nodes, are in different houses. And whatever house Rahu is, or the north node, you have to develop it. And you have to let go of the house where the south node is, to move your consciousness further, into the merging of the lower and the higher self, the ego with the higher mind, which Rahu and Ketu strive toward. And now we're going to look when Rahu and Ketu are in the same sign, which means conjunct with a planet. If you have a planet conjunct Rahu and Ketu, it means you have to work a lot. It's really like magnified, and it's really stressed in your horoscope because you have some important work to do with this planet. For instance, the sun rules career and goals. If it's with Rahu or Ketu, something specific will be happening in your life about it. And how can you see if you have a planet with the north node or the south node? Well, go to my website, astrolada.com, where I have a birth chart calculator, and enter your time and place of birth. Even if you don't know the time, it's okay. And then you'll get a chart. So what are the lessons? If you have the sun in the same sign, it will be indicated like that, with Rahu or Ketu. But let's start first with Ketu, because Ketu always shows past life tendencies and something we have to let go of. So if you have Sun or Ketu together in the same sign, in the same quadrant in the chart, in my birth chart calculator, what happens? And actually, the closer they're to each other, you can check it by the degrees, the more intense it will be. But when they're not so, but even if they're far away from each other, you will feel this influence as long as they're in the same sign. And of course, if there are other planets there as well, they will modify a little bit the influence, but you'll definitely feel this. So what happens? Well, the sun represents, first of all, big achievements and position. The sun is the king, position of royalty, of high status, of big achievements, great achievements. And such people in past life, they did that. They had big achievements. They had big posts in life. They achieved uniqueness and greatness in some way. They were noticed. Maybe they were noble, royalty somehow, but they had authority due to their abilities and due to their own achievements, that they actually very much enjoyed, and they achieved a lot of their goals in past lives. And from early age, those people, they'll have goals, and they'll follow, and they'll be very much of perfectionists, They learn how to do this in past life, and actually they're very strongly identified with the roles that they were playing in past life. And in this life, the sun represents your character, the role that you play. For instance, you might be born as a role of a doctor, as a role of a healer, as a role of a royalty, the title, the name that others recognize you by, the identity that you have, this unique thing that makes you different than others, and that you identify and recognize yourself and feel most proud about. And these people learn how to develop in a past life this, but in this life they have to learn to detach from those roles they're playing. Because this is because whatever you attach to, it stops your spiritual evolution. If you get too attached to the roles you're playing, you lose perspective again, and you get too much into, if you come in this life and you're a big CEO of a company, you get too identified with that role. It's counteractive for your spiritual development. And these people, what will happen is that in their life, Ketu, in this life, Ketu will start making them more and more disappointed or feeling empty when it comes to their role that they're playing. They'll start feeling, usually there is divine discontent about the planet which Ketu is with, and the sun is their role in life. Usually their goals, their careers, their individuality, they start being discontent, and actually because they're so used to achieving the best in past life, to bringing the best out of themselves. In this life, these people are perfectionists. They always see what they haven't done right. They want more and more to achieve. They want to push themselves harder. And even if they do a job really greatly, and others pat them on the shoulder and say, it's great, they'll only see the things that they did wrong rather than the things that they did quite well. And it's kind of a painful position, because you push yourself harder, you're more and more of a perfectionist. It's definitely like this when I've seen. But there's always discontent and a feeling, a lack of confidence, because the sun represents confidence. And Ketu wants to detach us from the false sense of confidence we get from the roles that we have and the individuality that we have in this life. And it usually will empty this confidence by making us feel discontent with what we're doing, never happy enough with what we achieved, never, there is, like I said, divine discontent within us. And it's at one certain period, a person can only start being happy with this position if they realize that greatness or the role that you play is not it's not really defining of your true self, and they have to let go of the ego identification with those roles. And only they can be happy when they still play their role. If you're born to be a healer, it doesn't mean stop being a healer and that's it. Keep doing it, but don't take it too personally. Become a bit of like an observer. Don't identify too much with this role. Otherwise, life will keep undermining. This Ketu position will keep taking away all the things that make you proud, that give you confidence, that make you feel successful. It will keep taking it to you. You stop identifying with these roles in your life as thinking that this is who you are, because your true self is much higher. You're an observer, you're a spiritual soul, and most spiritual people will be more easy to overcome this influence, but less spiritual people, they can be undermined constantly by feelings of insecurity, by lack of confidence and timidness, and also ambivalence to do with their goals and what they really, with their identity, and a lot of discontent there with the roles they play in their life. And only when you learn to let go of those roles and to see yourself as something bigger than those roles you play, you can actually start living a more happy life with this position. And you're learning also how to let go of being the boss, of being the one who is always on top, And I'm not saying that the person will not have a worldly success, just the opposite. These people are very disciplined and they're very hard on themselves and perfectionists, so they can achieve a lot, but within themselves, if they keep identifying with those roles, they'll feel discontent. And this is what it means. Or they'll keep losing those roles, so they'll keep they start a new profession and they just feel discontent there and they have to let go of it later on. Or, because they're trying to let go of any, as I said, detach from any too strong identification with the ego, with the roles they play. I'm sorry if I keep repeating myself, but it is very important. And there is more timidness and shyness for these people early in age as well. They can be quite shy and they can be quite insecure. And usually around the 42nd to the 48th year, this eclipse that Ketu does, because Ketu and Rahu, the south node and the north node are the planets which eclipse something, They create the eclipses of the sun and the moon. This eclipse naturally matures and goes away around 42 to 48 years of age, and a person becomes much more secure in their confidence. They find a much more they somehow naturally let go of the strong identification with the roles they play and desire to do everything perfect, because they think like it's so important that they do, because they think that their role is who they are, and it's not. That's why they're perfectionists, and they have to withdraw. And then this obsessiveness about detail, about perfection, and this constant discontent with themselves will relax, because they will not be freaked out so much that it's so important. This is the role, and they lost themselves in the role. They come here to play it for a few years on earth. That's it. If you, as I said, more spiritual, you'll be more easily able to deal with that influence. And often people of high authority who try and keep on to that identity, the authority is somehow undermined or somehow taken from them, so they can learn to let go of the ego attachments, of the old self-identification. And these people can have a very strong spiritual awakening later in life, or, if you're more aware, even early in life. And this breakthrough happens, and they start living life not so much seriously. They stop thinking themselves as life or death. They realize they're just actors on a stage, and they start, and their sense of security comes back to them. And what happens if the sun is with Rahu, with the north node? In the Western chart, you will see the sun is with the north node in the same sign. Well, it means that we actually haven't developed in past lives at all those qualities of feeling. We haven't worked on. The sun is the principle of stability in one's life. Not stability, but of constancy. First of all, constancy, because the sun is the planet which rises every day, sets every day, is the one most reliable thing, unchangeable in our universe or in our world, And this is the principle of constancy in a life. And a person in a past life didn't develop this kind of constancy. And especially in the first years of someone's life till 30, 40, in the new life, they can be very inconstant. They first choose one goal, and they later down the road they change. They keep changing, they cannot stay focused on one goal or on one ambition, on one identity, that they have. They just haven't built a very solid foundation of who they are. The people with the South Node, the opposite. They have a very strong foundation and feeling that, that who they are, and they have to let go of it. While those people, they actually don't have this. They haven't worked on past life, and they feel very much drawn to success, to big positions in life, to anything grand which the sun represents. And the sun is generous, it's giving, is the king, it's always has the best, and those people will have a strong drive towards this kind of worldly things that the sun represents. But Rahu, or the South Node, always, whenever it's with a planet, you're always very insecure with the things this planet signifies. You're very insecure, but you project the opposite because Rahu externalizes. So you look extremely confident on the outside. You meet a man with this position, he's magnetic, women love him, he's charming, he looks such an individualist. The sun is the individualist, something unique, special, that makes you unique and special and magnetic and a leader. And he looks like that, but within yourself, if you see that he has sun with Rahu in the same sign, this person doesn't feel confident. Well, at least if he's, in most cases, let's say 90% of the cases, these people, they're compensating for this lack of, they actually really lack the qualities of the sun within themselves, so they externalize them. This is done for overcompensation, the confidence, and these are very charming people, men or women, but it's not based on true confidence. It's not based on having found their true individuality. And as my teacher Ernst Wilhelm says, all people who are born with this position, Rahu with the sun, they have some kind of a fake identity imposed on them from early child, or not fake, but something which is not authentic for themselves. So from early child, maybe the parents said, oh, I'm a lawyer, you'll be a lawyer too, so they prepared him for a lawyer, for a role in life, which is not authentic. Rahu is a foreign influences. It's something that is imposed on you often, and because you don't have experience in the matters with the sun, which is your own identity and uniqueness, you very much succumb very easily to influences from outside. So maybe a friend of theirs wanted to do something and they say, well, I want to do that. Or they hear someone is going to make a business and they get excited. They say, oh, yes, incredible, I invest in your business, fantastic. But then 3 or 4 months down the line, you call them and this person is not there, so they can make promises but not deliver, because they can get easily swayed by the goals and the ideas of others that they have and want to get involved in that, but actually they don't deliver later on because it's not true, their true identity. And from very young age, someone imposed on them an identity which is not truly theirs, and because they're easily influenced, and they easily swayed, so you have to be careful who you let, if you have a child with these positions, who you let it hang out, because it can acquire and soak up the goals and identities of other people which are not its own, and later on in life, what happens with those people normally is, even from very young age, as my teacher also says, they've been told that they are either very special, and they have this sense that actually they're unique, but it's not really true. It's not built on a solid foundation. So they're told you're special, you're amazing, you're better than the others, or you'll be a great lawyer, you'll be a great doctor or something, or somehow they're made feel special, but it's fake. It's not built on a strong foundation. And later in life, they usually have an identity crisis, and they change direction in life, or they have some breakdown till they finally find what their true identity is, what their true individuality is, what their true unique creative talent is, and what their true unique role in this life is. And this is the biggest thing they have to find. They shouldn't allow others to influence them, but usually till you're 30, 35, you're very much impressionable. And around 40, a person with the Rahu, the sun, around 40, 42, they can actually gain fully their individuality after that and stop being influenced by others and start being more constant, because they haven't developed constantness. They need to develop it. So the more you develop constancy, the more you try and follow a path which is unique to yourself, trying to define your own unique role, not impose one, the happier you'll be with this. And these people often can be very charismatic, but I said a bit, not lies. They don't want to lie you. They just kind of exaggerate because they get excited about the ideas you have or about what you're telling them, and they they over much project the qualities of the sun. The qualities of the sun are Leo. Leo, the sun rules Leo. So they over much project those Leo qualities, even if they're not Leos, they were just like generous, promising, exaggerating, giving, authoritative, high standing positions, whatever, the sun rules all those Leo qualities and glamorous and out there, and benevolent, and they project them, but within themselves they don't really have those quality well developed, so they can end up disappointing. A lot of men with this position disappoint the ladies because they make big promises, so they're extremely magnetic and charming. You externalize the solar qualities. The solar qualities of magnetism, of entertaining, of charming everyone away. This is what the sun is. It's overpowering presence and authority, but you still don't have it inside, so you need to work on those, on grounding this true identity. When you say something, to do it. When you start following a goal, going for it. When you constancy, promise, and uniqueness, rather not to get swayed by different ideas. You get too easily excited about something and you might go in that direction, but later on retreat because this is not your true identity. So I hope you understood a little bit about the sun with Ketu. So Ketu with the sun, they have to let go of ego identifications. They're supposed to be more meek and humble in this life. It doesn't mean they're not supposed to have big achievements, what the sun means, but they have to let go of the identification with that role. And there is often lack of confidence a little bit, and the sun people, they have to develop this sun, this uniqueness. Actually, they have to grow into a role which is true and authentic towards them, for them, and who they truly are. Well, I hope I was able to help you. Please send comments and tell me what you think.